Good evening. It's currently 9 p.m. and you're listening to the 9 o'clock Meltdown, showcasing favorite and up-and-coming local artists with a relaxed coffee house vibe, plus interviews, live studio performances, and more. It's all here on 91.3 KUWS Superior. Now, here's your host for the evening, Simply C.
Thanks, Forrest, and I'm in the studio with Dr. Ohm. Actually, Tobin and his friend are in the studio with me tonight, and we're kind of deterring away from the coffee house vibe, I guess you could say. Well, you guys have played coffee houses, so I guess I can't
definitely
execute that one out. Now, you're kind of a bit more unique. This isn't going to be an acoustic, guitar singer-songwriter night. This is, how would you classify it, trance?
I'd say more of a ambient drone.
Okay.
It utilizes nothing but synthesizers, so we could make it equally as aggressive at the same time as we can bring it back and make it very mellow.
Okay, all right. And now, for people that don't really know, myself included, now what is the difference between trance and dubstep and techno and...
A lot of that is actually the speed that the beat goes at. We actually use very minimal beats, if at all. Like trance would be a lot faster, heavier beats, strong pad leads. Dubstep has kind of a two-step beat. What we do is, if we have a beat, it's a very slow, mellow, down-tempo.
Okay.
Generally made out of machine sounds and things like that. It's kind of got an industrial beat vibe.
Okay, so kind of what people are hearing these days on pop radio stations, right? Except there's not going to be Nicki Minaj here singing over it. No. Couldn't get hold of her in time, right?
Live, I do sing quite a bit, actually. I just lay some very ambient vocals down, very melodic. I don't even say any words. I just make up sounds that sound like words.
So it could almost be categorized as scat singing in jazz.
Yep. Rigga skigga booga googa.
Don't make me pull out some jazz music. There's some right over there. There's a huge shelf. You could really get going here. And now you guys actually have a show coming up. You were saying earlier that you need 200 people to show?
Yeah, about 200 people. I think would be great for Sacred Heart. It's August 25th at Sacred Heart. It's called Umbrella Cloud Festival.
Okay.
And it's more of like a mellow music festival. It's arts and music, but we're focusing a lot of the music on the local bands that play more experimental, mellow music.
Okay.
It's trying to get the community together to understand there's a lot more music out there than our average pop, rock, and especially in Duluth, a lot of the folk and bluegrass, which is very popular. I just want to pull some bands out from the sewers, and specifically their like home studios. So just try to open it up to the crowds.
All right. So what kind of other artists are you guys looking at?
Well, we do have Tim Kaiser coming. He's a local favorite for ambient noise. We have the Rivulets coming. If Thousands, I think it's actually, would you say 16 bands?
There are 16 bands.
All right, so then a full house.
It is a full house. It's a 16-hour event.
Wow.
Music start to finish.
Yeah.
Including in the music, we have anyone that comes to the event can bring a drum, and we can have a drum circle with the sound of like a sitar in the background. I have an emulation of a sitar.
Oh, okay.
I can change the key. It sounds really pretty.
Oh, very cool. So maybe you'll give us a sample of that later.
I definitely could.
All right. As you look at the little box that's sitting here. All right. And now, Phil, you're actually in another band with your sister.
I am. It's Broken Wings Grace. Right now we're working on writing a new album. We've been on a 7-year hiatus.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And she just recently moved back to Duluth, and just right away we went back to the studio, and we're really excited about it. We've been hitting a lot of open mics. We're open to try and book some more shows once we have more material written. And yeah, it's really exciting. It's kind of a experimental industrial sound. You may have heard, actually, one of our songs on the local current called Good Morning Stars had kind of a funky vibe to it.
Oh, okay. All right, sounds good. And now it's a little bit different, as you know, it's got the kind of the drone, the synthesizer background which you play, but then your sister actually does spoken word over the top of that.
Yeah, we do drone with the spoken word. We also do have more dancey stuff that we're writing, where my sister Jessica, she'll be singing over those. And yeah, it's just experimental, doing whatever we feel is right at the time, really.
All right, sounds good. And now, when is your new album going to come out? Do you have a date picked?
Not yet. We're still in the studio right now. We've only got the one actually completed and ready to release, so just the one single. Yeah, I don't really know. It's probably going to be a few more months.
All right, so within the year then.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. And now, Tobin, you actually handed me a CD. A homemade CD, you said, although to me it looks pretty professional.
We spend a lot of time on them.
Okay, all right. Lots of time.
Yeah, the cover and the back and the CD and everything is completely unique to itself.
It is. All right. So do you just kind of, this kind of looks like splatter painting, if I can categorize it. So is each one different? You just kind of handcrafted each one and slapped it together, see what happens?
That's actually the last one. They went pretty fast during homegrown. We make each one individually. He'll take 10 and I'll take 10, and we'll do our own work on them, and then we'll switch around all the art on the pages, so that way there's not exactly one theme going to it. And it's kind of a lot like our music. It's not always just one theme. Our songs can be very versatile, from just completely abstract to it can be very downtrodden. Our songs can be slightly aggressive sounding.
Okay.
Generally, it's more of a tranquil mind state, and we try to do that with our art as well.
All right. Well, this front cover looks like I'm in the sea or something.
Yeah, it's actually a oil barrel spilling.
Oh, okay. I see it there on the corner.
That one was actually, there was 4 covers that you could lay side to side, and it would create a whole scene. It was really cool how it was done.
All right. So now I have to go search for the other 3, right? And
Yeah. Not sure where those are.
it's all good. Probably being enjoyed in somebody's car or their CD player. Or
I'd like to hope so.
there you go. Exactly. Not being used as a coffee holder at all.
That's okay, too.
I was joking. Now, do you guys have some music to sample for us?
Yeah, actually, we're going to play a track here, and we're going to start out with what Phil and I like to call the init setting. The init setting is just initializing the program on your synthesizer, so that way it's your basic saw wave.
Okay.
And the basic saw wave was a great concept in how actually we started. We just took the same waveform of sound, and we started manipulating it over a long period of time, which some of our drones can get up to 15 minutes to half an hour. We wrote a song for Sandy Hook. I think that was at least 20-30 minutes, and it was our peace drone for them, and we used the Tampira on that as well.
All right. Sounds good. I'll let you guys hop over there then. Dr. Oz is in the studio with me. You're listening to the 9 o'clock Meltdown here on 91.3 KUWS right here in Superior. Waiting for that one to fade out. Dr. Ohm is in the studio with me this afternoon. It consists of Tobin Dack and his friend Phil, and together you guys are Dr. Ohm.
And I noticed we clipped that quite a bit.
No, that's quite all right. You were saying earlier that some of your mixes can be 17 minutes to a half hour, maybe longer.
That must have been about 5.
I think our longest mix right now is 32 minutes.
Wow.
If I remember correctly, that's our video we have on YouTube called Earth Rebirth.
Oh, okay. All right. Sounds good. So people should definitely check you out then.
Yeah, we have, I think we have, do we have just one? Maybe we have a couple videos on YouTube. But you can check out all of our music we uploaded onto YouTube. We also have a SoundCloud, and we have our Facebook. Do we have Facebook? We have a Facebook page.
We have
You do
Facebook.
have
We
Facebook.
are also, I believe we are also on Bandcamp. We did get that up.
Oh, yeah, Bandcamp. Sweet.
So I take it that one kind of controls the whole internet phase, and the other one's just like, okay.
I think
It goes back and forth.
Yeah, we share.
All right.
Share
So
all of our responsibilities.
there you go.
I make him carry my keyboard once in a while.
Yes, I was suggesting that I could help you out, Phil, when you were carrying that big heavy thing up the stairs, but then I'm like, I wouldn't be able to do anything. I wouldn't be able to help.
I'm getting used to it. That case is pretty heavy, though.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it. And now, as I was kind of listening to that mix, for some reason, 80s space movies came into mind. Now, is that kind of just the sound that you guys just kind of picked up just by practicing throughout the years, or is that really what a synthesizer is?
I think that's more what a synthesizer is, in its own way.
It kind of reminds you of the music from Dune or Blade Runner.
Right.
Thank you, Vangelis.
I actually got some inspiration from Logan's Run. Had an excellent soundtrack on it, and the synthesizer in that was a lot of the sound effects were built into the soundtrack.
Oh, very cool. All right. And then now, synthesizers, I mean, what I'm looking at here is, I'm looking at a keyboard, basically, with a bunch of knobs and buttons on it. And now, how does that work? I mean, obviously, you can manipulate the sound that the keys make and things like that, but is there a lot more to it than that?
Oh my gosh. When I first picked up a synthesizer, it was a very simple Yamaha synthesizer, and I spent so much time just trying to figure out, what is this resonance, cutoff, LFO? So I went and got books from the library, which I never returned. and I studied synthesizers as much as I could until I could finally figure out what this knob is doing specifically.
Okay.
It all really relates down to a block diagram of this goes to this, that goes to that, and everything goes in a pattern and connects with each other. So it's really simple. You can take any sound from electrical source, like your sounds that come out of the wall, like you have different electrical diagrams basically that we use that picture, that image of a diagram that we adjust with sound.
Okay.
It gets really complicated. It's unless you're looking at a synthesizer, it couldn't quite explain one.
Right. So basically a keyboard with a bunch of buttons and knobs.
Yeah, it's a very, very fine tuning of manipulating electrical sound.
All right, sounds good. And yeah, I was going to say, synthesizers seem to be so, not necessarily chop, one way, that you can only go one way, and that's forward. With the guitar, you could almost kind of veer off over here a little bit and then come back and then, go over here. With synthesizers, it just seems so straightforward and to the point.
I'm not quite sure about that.
There's an unlimited amount of sounds that can be made, and that's actually part of the point of what we do is we just like to explore the sound that's coming out as we're doing it.
We'll give you an example in the next track of how deep and lush and how far away of a sound you can make with the synthesizer.
All right, sounds good. So synthesizers, they can be an entire room of musical instruments without even really picking them up.
Modulars, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And now, how did you guys get on this track of, I'm not going to call it trance, but Drone. There we go.
Drone.
That's the one.
I don't know. I got started actually through Tobin, hanging out in his studio, listening to some of the stuff that he was working on. Back with like Remote Viewfinder was one of his projects.
Okay.
Also, he introduced me to the band Coil, which has actually been a huge influence.
In memoriam, John Balance and Peter Christofferson. Coil is definitely, in my opinion, some of the forefounders of electronic avant-garde when it comes to drone, ambient music.
Okay.
Very inspiring. I think I've obsessed with them for over a decade now. Maybe not that long, but about.
It's okay. It's okay to admit that you have problems, and then you can work on them.
That's good.
All right. What are your guys' influence? You kind of led on to some of them a little earlier.
My larger influences, I think, actually come from more of the industrial side. I got started into music. Well, when I first started playing music, I was playing bass in a Christian punk band when I was 16, which was interesting. And then later on, I started to write music on my computer just with a mouse point and click.
Okay.
But some of my favorite influences, definitely Trent Reznor is probably my top influence. Also, Brian Eno does a lot of fantastic work. It's hard for me to think, though, because I draw influence pretty much all the time, all around me. So if I hear something that I like, I log it into my head like that sounded good, and a lot of what I do in its own way is trying to recreate a sound.
Okay.
But then it turns into its own.
Right. Okay.
In similar ways, I get that kind of influence. I can look at just the patterns of the brick in this room here, and every pattern, I think, has a sound that goes with it.
Okay.
And it can be very flat, it can be very tonal. And I think with the synthesizer, you can create a lot of those really unique sounds that can fit an image.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So it sounds like you have a music video coming up as well.
Sure. Always working on something.
Just do some more splatter painting and music and call it good.
That's a pretty good
That
idea.
sounds like a fun idea.
Yeah.
All right. And now, how did you guys come up with the name drOHM?
Spur of the moment. Stopping for a coffee break in Tobin's kitchen between recording. It's like, we need a name. And we were going to go with drOHM, but then we found out that that's a Swedish black metal band.
Really?
So we...
A lot of people see it as drOHM,
Yeah.
but we put a period between DR and OHM sometimes, not always.
It's,
Okay.
the capitalization is the...
Oh,
The
okay.
filter.
We
All
capitalized
right.
OHM and kept Dr. lowercase.
Oh, okay. There you go. You know, when I was looking on your Facebook page, it was the very first time I'd looked it up. I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce this. Do I what? Is the R really or what is this? But no, now that it's explained, I got it. Do you guys want to showcase kind of a more unique song for us?
Yeah, we'll go with something very ambient.
All right.
So that way you can get a feel for the different sounds of the synthesizer, which is, I think, Phil and I's favorite instruments.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. And now, are all these songs on your CD or upcoming?
Everything we do, whenever we play, it's all improvised.
Okay.
It's very, very difficult to recreate the same sound twice when playing as we play.
Okay.
Because as we're going, we're adjusting the knobs, and just to remember every knob tweak that we've done, it's almost impossible to recreate the sound.
Okay, so every time you play something, it's different.
Yep.
All right, very cool. So therefore, people should come out to your shows all the time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of it's based on some of the emotions we're going through, and some of it you might hear a song and it's like, that sounds boring. But maybe we're just feeling pretty plain. Maybe we don't have a lot of emotion at that moment.
Kind of like some of the Duluth weather, right? All right. Dr. Ohm is in the studio with me this afternoon. You're listening to the 9 o'clock Meltdown here on 91.3 KUWS right here in Superior. Dr. Ohm is in the studio with me this afternoon. Thank you guys for that wonderful performance. I was kind of getting caught listening to it, and I was feeling that it was like a weird dream sequence, and then it kind of ended with somebody breathing, and very nice.
Yeah, I picture so many mostly beautiful things while I play the synthesizer, especially those beautiful pads. I called that one Sky Pad, and I was looking out the window when I made it, and there were the clouds in the sky, and it just fit. It fit it perfectly, so
All right.
it's one of my favorite pads I've made on it.
All right, sounds wonderful. And now, since you guys do play synthesizers and things like that, do you kind of feel that synthesizer music and drone music and, dare I say, techno, has kind of moved out of the shadows a little bit into kind of, not necessarily mainstream culture, but being recognized as a music form?
I feel that it is. When we first started playing live, I didn't know what to expect. But then we had a very good reception to our music. The crowd really liked it. A lot of people seemed impressed. Then right afterwards, it seemed like a whole bunch of other drone acts started coming out of the woodwork.
Okay.
And even on the techno side, 10 years ago, pop was completely different, and the underground electronic music has made its way into the mainstream on that level. But with the drone and more of the synthesizer music, it's still, I can't say it's young. It's been around since the invention of the synthesizer, but it's still not very well known.
Okay.
But it does seem to be coming to the surface a bit more.
All right, sounds good.
Drone can go all the way back to old tribal drumming, before really a lot of like musical instruments were made. It was more percussive, and the drone was more of like a state of mind with the like drumming that like tribes and would use to I'd say enlighten themselves.
Okay.
Also, the old it's an ethnic instrument called the tanpura. Has a very drony sound to it. And even tribal throat singing kind of brings an influence into it for the modern drone too.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for schooling me. You learn something every day. And I learned something today. Thank you. And now, in your act, right now you just kind of have the two of you. So, who plays the drum part and who plays the guitar part? Or is it kind of traded off between the two of you?
Well, speaking of just him and I, we've definitely, our friend Tina Luana Fox has performed with us before as well. And if there's other musicians around, we'll definitely incorporate them. Rob Fernquist has played some guitar with us, and Harrison Crane has played with us as well. He plays guitar. Ben Brager's played drums for me before as well.
Okay.
So it's kind of, we just incorporate things that are going on around us. It's really nice.
Right, and now those guitars are still kind of kept electric, right?
Well, I mean, it's an electric guitar.
Right.
So it sometimes stays pretty minimal. It just turns into like a psych rock vibe.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And like sometimes we will use more beats, and that we both trade off on. We both have drum machines we'll bring to shows. So it really depends on the mood, on who does what for drums, and if someone wants to join us with an acoustic guitar in the studio, we'll usually, or any other instrument really, if they want to play along, we'll welcome them.
All right. So it kind of sounds like the synthesizer and what you guys are doing is very versatile in that it can kind of incorporate with almost anything.
Yeah.
Mannheim Steamroller did it.
All right. There you go. That's enough, right? And now, if somebody's looking to get a hold of you, either to book a show or talk to you about your music, how can they do that?
Facebook works.
Our email is drOHM, Dr. Ohm, band
at
Gmail.
Yeah, at Gmail.
Super simple. Drohmband. That's what it looks like it spells.
All right. Sounds good. And now, why don't you guys tell me a little bit about this show that you have coming up? You said that it's at Sacred Heart. It's got 16 bands. I'm assuming that they're going to kind of be back-to-back since it's going to be 16 hours long.
Pretty
now,
much.
is it all going to be drone music, synthesizer music, or is it kind of a smattering across the board?
There's a bit of a variety. Like we have Mark Gartman's Fever Dream coming.
Okay. And now, actually, since you mentioned him, how would you categorize him? Is he a synth player? Is he kind of a beat master?
He's everywhere.
Mark Gartman's Fever Dream is my favorite Duluth band. Straight up. Every time I see him, it puts me in the place that I want to be at. And he does it with a lot of compassion in his beats that he writes, which are really simple, and like the beautiful melodies and chords he plays on the synthesizer. And I think it's a perfect fit. I think it's a great fit for Umbrella Cloud Festival.
All right, sounds good.
And we are also, during the festival, there's going to be an art show within the festival. It's Limbo Gallery and Pineapple Arts are working together to bring Circumambient.
Okay.
Eris Vafias, our art director, has put a lot of work into getting the art really going with it, and I'm really excited to see the collaboration of art and sound all in one. So it's going to be really unique.
All right. So
we also have a lot of local vendors there.
Okay.
Selling local handmade things. There's quite a variety, so I'm not going to list them off, but we do have Anahata Herbals, which will be serving tea during the event, which is going to be really exciting.
Oh, that does sound exciting.
And part of what I'm excited about actually is part of the Circumambient. I'm not entirely sure how the planning's going right now, but they're talking about doing a interactive art piece where they're gonna kind of quadrant off an area with clear plastic where people can go in and paint on different sculptures that they'll have ready.
Oh, okay. All right. Very cool. Very cool. So it kind of sounds like a really big collaboration of kind of underground arts of Duluth.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as underground art of Duluth?
You know, a lot of people would even just categorize local art and music as underground because it's local. It's in your town, and if it hasn't really gone outside of your town, it's still pretty underground, right? But I would just call it all local because I love Duluth and Superior, and together there's so much to offer in art and music in the area.
Definitely, I will agree with that. I have a slight obsession with our local art scene.
You mentioned that already.
I did. I'm going to mention it again. And so, will you guys? Where are you guys in this 16 band lineup?
I'll be. I think. Thelonious Monk is playing on his own.
DJing some self-produced ambient earlier in the morning, about 10:30.
Okay.
Then drOHM, I think we're 2
late.
o'clock.
I think we're later, like maybe even like 4 or 5. I have the list on my computer, but not in my head. And
that's quite all right.
And then I also have my solo project TDAC.
Okay.
Which not a lot of people are familiar with, but I've been writing music for over a decade now, and it's very psychedelic, ambient electronic music. I can't really stick it to one genre.
Okay.
So I hope people will get to see me perform and be like, that's TDAC, instead of like, who's this guy?
Or, oh, look, it's Tobin by himself on the stage.
Yeah, that works too.
No, actually, it'd probably be like, oh my god, that's Tobin. Here you go. And I just blanked. Oh no. This is never good. Never good on a radio station when you...
It's okay.
You have a question, and you know what it is, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go out the window.
You could play another song if you want us to.
That'd be our closer.
Okay.
Play another song. And now, what time does all this start? These 16 band festivities.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Okay.
It goes till 2 a.m.
All right. Sounds great.
It's going to be late for a Sunday night, everybody. But let me tell you, there's so many cool things that happen on Sundays People don't even realize it. I want everyone to get out and enjoy Umbrella Cloud Festival. You can get your pre-sale tickets at the Electric Fetus. It's $5. Otherwise, it's $10 at the door.
All right.
It's a steal either way. 16 bands. It's going to be great. We have some legends. We have If Thousands who seldomly make appearances, and I really think they're a great band, and I'm really happy to have them up here. There's another artist named drOHM who writes the most passionate, inverted music from deep inside himself, and he's coming up from Nebraska.
Oh wow!
And he's played up here before, and his music is so beautiful and so passionate.
He's fun to watch too. You can look him up on YouTube, and you'll see him playing with like a shawl of bells hanging from his head that he just shakes his head into the microphone
and makes really cool music with like these little bells and captures the sounds. It's really sweet.
All right, very cool. So, very interactive, fun-filled day and night, and kind of all over the place. Now, are you guys kind of looking at making a statement with Umbrella? Are you looking to give donations away to someplace? What is your drive behind it?
Some of those plans haven't actually really been decided yet of what the proceeds will go to.
I think mostly we wanted to have an ambient music fest, and that was really the main goal.
Okay.
It was the main goal. I had started talking about it, and then all of a sudden I had booked bands at Sacred Heart without even having Sacred Heart booked or having any money. And I was like, Phil, I got these bands. He's like, oh wow, you're just jumping right into this. I was like, I'm doing it, and it's happening. It's gonna happen. It's August 25th.
All right, sounds great. And Sacred Heart is such a wonderful space. It's big and got lots of bounce to it. So
beautiful in there, and I'm excited just to be in there again. Got the show recently with Lowe and Tim Kaiser and can't remember the name of the other act, but they all collaborated together for 2 hours, and it was a really interesting collaboration. I went in expecting to see an act play, then another act play. I didn't expect them all to be sharing the stage at the same time.
Oh, very cool.
And it was just beautiful music the whole night, and the Sacred Heart's just the perfect place for it, I think.
All right, sounds wonderful. Well, good luck to you guys on the performances, and hope everything goes smoothly. I cannot imagine 16 bands all sharing one stage. So
it's going to be pretty nuts.
All right. So do you guys have another song to showcase us out?
We do. I just have to figure out how to run this Tampere in. I've not figured that out yet, but we might play without it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have that cable anymore. I think I left it at your house months ago.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, well, I could hold it for you up to a microphone if you want to try that. Okay. I will adjust my microphone. This has been the 9 o'clock Meltdown. I'm your host, Simply C, and drOHM is going to showcase us out, and I'm going to do my best to have a cell phone play a beat. If I say that correctly. If I don't say that correctly, I do apologize. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Thank you for having us on the radio.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. It's always an adventure, right?
Yes.